You remember that old school summer feeling? The final school bell of the year rings and suddenly everything feels exciting and everything feels possible. No more homework, no more alarm clocks, just every day of summer stretching out before you like the longest, most awesome weekend of your life. If you grew up in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Summer wasn't just a season. It was an event, a shared experience where everybody watched the same movies, everybody listened to the same songs on the radio, they played the same arcade games, everybody knew what was going to be playing at the theaters and which VHS tapes were going to be impossible to find on a Friday night. And then somewhere along the way, we lost that. Not summer itself, but that feeling. So tonight, I want to talk about the summer the way it used to be, why it felt different, and how we might just be able to get a little bit of that back. So pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. When you talk summer, you got to start with the last day of school because that's when it officially kicks off. So there was this electricity when that happened with everybody. It didn't matter what grade you were in. It didn't matter if you were in college. Younger generations don't really understand that. Not because school ended differently, but because of what that ending meant. 3 months of real freedom, a solid 3 months, not a shortened window, but a solid 3 months with no scheduled activities, no organized play dates, no year-round extracurricular or sports commitments, no packed days of obligations. You woke up every morning with exactly nothing to do. You could pick what you wanted to do for the day, and somehow that might have been the greatest gift imaginable. The funny thing is, adults spend their entire lives trying to avoid boredom, but boredom might have been the secret ingredient to our happiness at the time, because boredom forced us to create. It forced us to use our imaginations, and it forced us to be present in whatever we were doing. We built forts. We explored neighborhoods. We rode our bikes longer and farther than we were supposed to. We disappeared into the woods behind a subdivision. We made up elaborate adventures because there was nothing else to do. We used our imagination, and summer gave us time to do it. The imagination, because everything we were experiencing, other people were experiencing the same. They were creating their own adventures with their own friends, and everybody was doing this together. It was a shared culture. Everybody felt the same. Not just my summer, it was our summer. And that was a big difference. And one of the biggest differences in most seasons, and summer is no different between then and now, is everybody used to watch the same thing. Like, that is a big cultural touchstone that we have lost. We were all watching the same things, not because somebody forced us to, but because there weren't a million options. Saturday morning cartoons weren't available whenever you wanted them. They existed for a few magical hours on a Saturday morning, and if you missed them, you just missed them, period. No DVR, no streaming it later, no watching it on your phone. You were either there to watch them or you weren't. You're waiting until the next Saturday. And you had all the cartoons that we love so much. DuckTales, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Thundercats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Every kid in America is watching these shows on Saturday mornings in the afternoons after school when weekdays during the summer gave way, the weekends passed. You still had them because every day felt like a weekend day. So it felt like this non-stop party. It didn't matter if you were watching DuckTales or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or He-Man. Somebody else, lots of other people you knew were watching the same thing. And that sort of shared experience is not an accident. It's something that built us and made us who we are. And those cartoons are still living rent-free in our heads 40 and 50 years later. And the new generations coming behind, nobody watches the same thing. They all have an organized algorithm, so they can't understand the difference. And then there was radio. Casey Kasem. It was the American Top 40. Casey Kasem, who was the voice on Scooby-Doo of Shaggy. Every Sunday morning, he was going to count down from 40 to number 1, and everyone was listening to Casey Kasem's countdown. Everyone hearing the same 40 songs. The American Top 40 counted down by Casey Kasem, the soundtrack of our summers. Every summer had its own kind of soundtrack. From 1983, you might have had Take My Breath Away, or 1984, you had the Ghostbusters theme for sure with Ray Parker Jr. And then later you had When Doves Cry, and then Breakfast Club's Don't You Forget About Me. Movie soundtracks were a huge part of our summertime. Waiting on a Star to Fall. You were waiting on your song to come on the radio. And then in the 90s, that continued the same with songs of the summer, songs that you would listen to on a boombox down by the beach that just became synonymous with that time. And if you lived through those summers, you instantly know exactly where you were when you heard those songs, not because the algorithm reminded you, but because you heard them everywhere simultaneously. They kind of burned into everyone's collective consciousness. That is what a shared soundtrack of our lives does. That is what an algorithm, something that's forced on you, will never be able to do. No matter how well it thinks it knows you, it can't share that experience with other people, and it can't find other things that you like. MTV, during the summer, before they stopped actually playing music, they would do beach house broadcasts, countdowns everyone watched together. Then in the evenings, you'd have primetime shows that everyone watched. I don't care if you go back to like Dallas, the A-Team, Miami Vice, and then the Sunday night at the movies that treated every movie like a genuine event that was coming on TV, and everybody you knew were watching it because we only had like a few channels to watch. Everyone was watching it. That urgency, that social pressure of having to watch everything, that everybody was watching because you didn't want to be left out. You wanted to be part of it. That developed a shared culture in a way that on demand and algorithms will never be able to replicate. And then starting with Jaws in the 1970s, we developed something else that became part of our summer lives, the Summer Blockbuster. Summer and movies were made for each other. Every summer had countless movies, particularly in the 70s, 80s, and in the 90s. You had bunches of big movies, but every summer had those one or two movies that stood above, that just connected everyone. Not 10 movies or 50 movies on 10 or 15 different platforms, just a few movies that everyone shared. Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Top Gun. These are movies everybody saw, everybody knew, summertime, talking about them, Beverly Hills Cop. All these films like that, they connected everyone. You weren't just watching a movie, you were participating in a cultural event. The entire country was talking about these movies, quoting the same movies, listening to the same soundtracks, walking out of theaters with the exact same feeling. That is genuinely difficult to explain to someone raised on streaming or even raised on the internet, because the movie wasn't the experience in and of itself. The fact that everybody saw it and shared it was the true experience. I think about what it meant to go to summer movies in the 1980s, the air conditioning hitting you, because not everybody had air conditioning, especially when you walked in from the Georgia heat down here and you walked in, the air conditioning hit you, in the smell of popcorn and the anticipation of a film that everybody you knew was talking about or were gonna be talking about, and then coming out into the summer evening needing to talk about it with your friends, your brother, your uncle, your aunt, your mom, your dad, whoever was sitting there next to you. When Jurassic Park opened in 1993, I was well into my teens, and the communal shock of seeing those dinosaurs move on screen for the first time that way in a packed theater is a memory that I will never forget. We had never seen anything like that, so real, so brought to life. The entire generation that saw that and experienced for the first time will share that forever. You cannot replicate that experience on a couch watching a streaming service on your own schedule. It just will not happen. The shared moment is the point. Movies weren't just content then, they were a part of our culture. And when the movie ended, the conversation started. Whether it was with your friends outside, at work, at school the next fall, by the pool, at the beach, a neighborhood cookout, the conversation was the continuation of the experience. And it was available to you only if you were present and you were there. But eventually, summer nights needed something else. They needed to continue that, have something else to do, and that is where the video store came in. Looking back, I don't think we really were renting movies. I know this is going to sound weird, but I don't think we were really renting movies. I don't think that's what it was really about. I think we were creating memories. I really do, because the experience started long before you got that movie home and pressed play. It started in the car, or when you were walking or riding your bike to the video rental store. When you walked through those doors and you saw the posters and the cutouts and the cover art on the films on the shelves, trying to decide what kind of night this was going to be. Action, comedy, horror, adventure. What was it going to be? The new release wall on Friday night, where everything good was gone by like 7 o'clock. That meant you ended up in those middle aisles, the old school stuff, the picked over stuff, the horror aisle, the action section, discovering something you had never heard of before. And somehow, almost always, what you found back there in those aisles was exactly right for the night. You had a good time with it. That discovery, that physical act of finding something you didn't know you were looking for, something you didn't know you even wanted, and then bringing it home and having fun with it. Streaming has never replicated that, and I don't think it can or ever will, because the algorithm does something weird. It recommends based on what it already knows that you already like. So it takes away the discovery. The video store shelf didn't know a damn thing about you. It just had films. It had films for you to look at and rent or don't rent. And it had art that pulled you in to help sell you on it. You chose it. You drove to get it. You took it home. You put it in. And there was nothing else. You made that commitment. There was no stopping and switching to 15 other things if you don't like it a couple minutes in. You were committed. And Summer somehow made all of that feel like an even bigger and more exciting special event, because the nights were longer, the responsibilities were fewer, and the possibilities felt endless. The video store on Friday summer night was one of the great weekly community rituals of the era. I've heard Matt Walsh say that this is something that never really existed. Well, I'm here to tell you it did. I'm a little bit older than Matt Walsh. He doesn't remember. He came of age by the time video rental stores only had a couple of years left at their height. Before that, it was definitely an event. Looking for that artwork, talking to the people behind the counter, discovering something weird, something that you never thought that you would like. All of that was burned into this collective memory that we all shared, and it is something that we are missing that cannot be replicated by an algorithm. None of that kind of feeling, that adventure, is available on a streaming service. That is all gone. It's something that is ingrained in us that we miss. And then now I want to get personal for just a second, because I want to take you back. Just go in the Wayback Machine. Go in your mind to 1987-ish, circa 1987. Because when I think about summer, I don't just think about movies. I love movies, but I don't just think about movies and music. I think about places and experiences. And one place that comes to my mind immediately is Daytona Beach in the 1980s. The boardwalk, the arcades, the ice cream, the airbrush shops, the smell of sunscreen and salt water, the sound of the waves mixing with the arcade machines and music coming from people's boom boxes, Galaga, Pac-Man, Double Dragon, all the pinball machines blending together with the music and the car sounds in the distance, girls in bikinis on roller skates with Walkmans, guys with boom boxes, people wandering between the beach and the arcades and the bars on the pier, sunburned shoulders, sandy feet, the airbrush t-shirt shops with the neon creations hanging out in the doorways, cars driving on the hard-packed sand, because that was one of the things that had Daytona's particular magic, where you could drive on the beach that was wide enough to do both. And the sky, the Florida summer twilight, orange, coral, the blues and deep purples, the moment where the sun disappeared but the night hadn't fully arrived, that moment where everything felt magic, possible, beautiful, the cooling of the air on your sunburnt skin. Nobody at that time, not myself, not anyone else, knew that all of that was nostalgia yet. You didn't know. Nobody knew we were living in enough memories that would last for the next 60 or 70 years of our lives. And maybe that's why it felt so magical, because nobody was documenting it. Nobody was recording it. Nobody was curating it. Nobody was stopping to take infinite pictures on digital to go viral or post on social media. They were simply present and living it to its fullest, living every moment, soaking every bit of joy out of it. The boardwalk felt alive, not online. Real people, real conversations, real experiences happening in real time, with no second screen in our hands deciding what to show us next. Different ages, different backgrounds, different everything, sharing the same sun, the same music, the same summer simultaneously, because the music was everywhere and you couldn't escape it. The vibe was there, the same songs coming from every direction in the communal hot weather, whether you chose it or not. And somewhere on that boardwalk was a video store, an old hole in the wall, because even after the perfect day at the beach, even the best summer night you ever had, you still wanted a movie, something to chill out, one more little adventure before the night ended. And then continuing that for me personally was the farm. My great-grandparents had a farm, but summer wasn't just the Daytona Beach to me. It was that farm too. And it was the complete opposite. Complete opposite. My great-grandparents' farm in rural Georgia, no arcades, no neon, no boardwalk, no hot babes in bikinis and Walkmans and ocean waves, just fields, gardens, trees, crickets, lightning bugs, oak trees, barns, and long summer nights. The funny thing is, both places gave me exactly the same feeling. The farm taught me something Daytona couldn't, and that's that summer was never really about having more. We didn't have a lot. So summer was never about having more. It was about needing less. A radio, a front porch, a movie, a few people you cared about and loved, that was enough. Setting out there, listening to music on the front porch, shelling beans, and then going in and getting real still and watching a movie. Some of my strongest memories involve myself and my brother and my uncle walking down to the mom and pop video rental store near the farm, not because the store was extraordinary, it was a little hole in the wall that's smaller than most people's living rooms probably, but because getting there mattered. We'd pick up my cousin Lee, who would walk along with us. The effort mattered, the anticipation mattered. You chose carefully because the choice mattered. And when you'd walk back, movie or movies in hand, the sounds of the Georgia night all around you, the crickets, the bugs, the July flies, the frogs croaking, the occasional distant radio or car, and later you'd sit there. No air conditioning, just a box fan in the window. You'd take a shower, get as cool as you could, and you'd sit down and watch whatever you rented. No second screen, no notifications, no endless scroll, just one movie, one night, one memory with people that you love, and looking back, the simplicity of that feels almost luxurious by comparison to today, because we were never really bored in the way people fear boredom now. We were productively bored, creatively bored, communally bored, and out of that came summers that still carry with us today. And then for us, there was the occasional road trips. Road trips were a big part of a lot of people across America's summers. Summer vacation, National Lampoon's Vacation captured the old summer road trip because it was a big thing. And for us, that usually meant a trip over to Disney World when we were at Daytona for one day. If you grew up in the South in driving distance, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. We lived about 7 hours away from Daytona, and from Daytona, it took a little over an hour to get to Orlando. The drive itself was part of the vacation back then, because we didn't have, this was a big thing. Once a year, going somewhere for a few days, that was it, man. Hours in the car, watching the Georgia landscape change as we went south from just north of Atlanta down there, and you see those palm trees come up. No individual screens, nobody arguing, nobody doing a playlist over the YouTube or the Bluetooth connected radios. None of that. Everybody listening to the same thing, singing songs together, whatever. The boredom eventually turned into conversation because there wasn't much else to do. You're playing I Spy, going down the road, all those kind of things. I still remember that excitement so clearly. And when I saw that Disney sign, when we got there, oh man, it was next level. The anticipation, then going into the parks, very different than today. You stood in line. You were present. You could maybe take a few pictures with film, but you couldn't take infinite pictures, so you just had to be present all day. There was no fast passes, none of looking at your phone all day. You just stood in line and enjoyed it together with everyone else. That unstructured time, that shared time, not efficient time, not optimized time, just time. And looking back, that might have been the most valuable thing of all. So what happened? That's the question. I don't think it's just technology by itself that ruined summer. I really don't. That's not really the argument here. Technology gave us some incredible things. We wouldn't have had the VCR and video rental nights without the technology. And it gave us access, convenience, and choice. But something got lost along the way with that. The experiences became too personalized. The movies became too personalized. The music, the TV shows, all of it, all of the shared entertainment went from being shared to customized and personalized. And personalized experiences, they might be convenient, but they rarely become collective, formative touchstone memories, because the memories we carry forever almost always involve other people. A packed movie theater, a crowded boardwalk, a crowded beach full of beautiful people, a Friday night at a video rental store where some weird guy behind the counter introduced you to a movie you never would have found otherwise. Our cover art did it. A family argued about what to rent and discussing what you picked for the night. A car radio playing a song that everyone was hearing and started singing along to. The algorithm is very good at giving us exactly what we already know we want, but it cannot create the kinds of shared experience that defined the generations that came before it, because shared culture means everyone consuming the same things at the same times, and it unites us. It brings us together with commonality, which is the opposite of what the algorithm is designed to produce. And so summer became fragmented, much like our other holidays. Millions of individual summers happening at the same time. Same season, completely different experiences. No shared reference points, no cultural touchstones that we all share, no communal vocabulary, no songs everyone heard simultaneously, no films everyone saw together. I mean, you can go back and name songs from the 80s, like 1986, you know, the Top Gun soundtrack, Danger Zone was there, Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me. You can name songs of the summer in the 80s and even the 90s. But can you name a universal song from 2023 that everybody knows? How about 2016? It's nondescript. It's blurred. It's not there. The silence is the distance between what we used to have and what replaced it. But listen, the spirit of summer is not dead. I genuinely believe the spirit of summer is not dead. Every once in a while it comes back. You see a movie like Top Gun Maverick, or you see something like Michael this year, or even Project Hail Mary. It gets people out of their houses and into theaters together. And for a moment, a brief shining moment, everyone is talking about the same things again. The conversation starts. The shared reference returns. That hunger is still there amongst people. People want shared experiences. They want community. People want memories they made together rather than alone. They need those things. The need for those things has never disappeared. We just stopped making room for it and traded it for convenience. Maybe this summer we can catch that and make room for it again. Go see a movie in the theater. Not because the film demands it, but because sitting in the dark with strangers experiencing something simultaneously is worth preserving. And it doesn't matter if it has to be a callback. He-Man is coming out this summer. That's a callback to the 80s. That's a great spot. Start there. Doesn't matter if it's a good movie or not. Turn off the playlist on the road trip. Listen to whatever comes on the radio. Let it guide you. Let it surprise you. Find a film that you love and watch it with someone without checking your phone. The choice and the commitment is part of that experience. Sit outside in the dark. Look at lightning bugs. Talk to your family. Talk to your neighbors. Give yourself permission to not do anything. Give yourself permission to be bored, because boredom still creates imagination and possibility. And possibility and imagination is where the summer of our memories lives. Maybe that's why we remember summers so clearly. Not because every movie we saw was a masterpiece, not because every song was an instant classic, not because every road trip was perfect or every Friday night store run at the video rental store ended up with the perfect film. We remember those summer nights, those summers and holidays, because they were shared with people we love. They were shared with the rest of the world and our community. The movies, the music, the road trips, the boardwalks, the beaches, the video rental stores, the long nights, the theaters, the boredom, the imagination, the possibility. And maybe because we all experienced that together, that's what we're really nostalgic for. Not the decade, not the technology, not even the movies and the pop culture. We're nostalgic for each other, for a shared experience that we can bond over together. Summer used to feel different, and deep down, we know why. This is why, and that is summer. And if you enjoyed this, please drop your best summer memories in the comments. The ones that never left you, the song, the movie, the road trip, the vacation, the summer night that still feels alive in your memory every time you think about it. I would love to hear it. And if you enjoyed this, we do all kinds of things here. Movies, all of that, pop culture. I love it. And sometimes we need to take a moment like this to remember what it's all about. So subscribe, like, hit the bell, all of that. Join the Patreon. It's down there. But no matter what you do, make this summer one to remember, and make it one to remember with people that you love and things that you love. And that's what I got for you this time. Until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.